This video we're going to teach 5-1 right up here. And we're going to start inequalities today, one step. Single step. Inequalities. Okay, and they're going to have the greater than or less than symbol, or it can be greater than equal to, or less than or equal to. Now for graphing, it's going to have an open dot and a closed dot, okay? And this is for graphing. Right, the open dot greater than or less than, the closed dot greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So keep that in mind. We're also going to talk about something called set notation. And all that is putting the answers in bracket form. Okay, that's set notation. All right. So with that said, I'm going to erase this. And then from here on out, I'll probably put it up here on this board when I get to teaching the lesson. I'm doing this early, so I'm not going to put it up there just yet. But example 1 says to solve by adding. Solve by adding. And this comes from page 285 in your textbook, page 285. Okay, we have x minus 12 is greater than or equal to 8. X minus 12 greater than or equal to 8. Very similar to a single step equation. The first step would be to undo the add or subtract. Let's see if you can see this up here. No, not quite. Change it. Undo the add or subtract. Just turn it right there. Let's see if you can see back here. Okay. So undo the add or subtract. Well, in this case, undo the subtract by adding. Okay, so we got x is greater than or equal to 20. Okay. And the other step is the variable must be on the left side. Or we change directions of inequality and move to the left. Okay? The variable must be on the left side. It is. Or we change directions, we don't need to, of the inequality and move to the left. And that's because of graphing. Okay? It's for graphing. So if I'm going to graph this, first of all, to put this in set notation, I would write x slash x is greater than or equal to 20. We did this last year in the pre-algebra book, okay? So we're doing this again this year. So now I'm going to graph it. And if the graph is not done for you, if you remember from last year, we make a 0, 20, and whatever the negative version of that is, like that. Greater than or equal to, so it's over the 20. It is a closed dot. Open dot is greater than or less than. So we're back over here. Make sure we can see this. Okay, so it's going to go over the 20. It's a closed dot. It points to the right, so it's going to go to the right, like that. Okay, that's just example 1. So let's do a guided practice where, let's just do guided 1A. Let's do 1A. And so we have 22 is greater than n minus 6. 22 is greater than m minus 6. Notice the letters on the right side this time, okay? But I'm going to undo the subtraction by adding. So I have 28 is greater than m. But since the m is on the right side, step 2 says variable must be on the left. So I'm going to change this to m is less than 28, and I'm going to put this in set notation. Just like that. Notice I moved the m to the left side, and I changed directions of the side. Okay? And so that's what you're supposed to do. And now go ahead and graph it. 0, 28, negative 28. And this time, because it's just a greater than, or less than, there's no equal to, it's an open dot. So an open dot over the 28 is pointing to the left. And so that's the way you will go with that one. Okay? The only thing I could say is in the guided practice that should have been an 8, and I misread it and made it a 6. So there's going to be some slight differences if you tried it, or if we Zoom and you're on Zoom and you're at school. That should have been an 8, so it should have been 30. But it's okay. This problem is correct, except for the fact that the other problem should have said 8 minus 8. Okay, so let's move on to next page. And that's where they talk about set builder notation. So we're on page 86, but we've already covered that. Okay? So we can try just a standardized example. I'm going to erase this. And example number 2. Standardized. Okay, that's just multiple choice whenever it says standardized. So we have solved m plus 19 is greater than 56. M plus 19, plus 19 is greater than 56. Undo the add by subtracting. Subtract 19 on both sides. And then we have m is greater than, notice m is on the left, 56 minus 19. So m is greater than 37. All right, and then set notation, m slash m. We put that in set notation. And the answer choice should be C. Let's see what it says here. I'm looking. You need to set for the quality. Okay, so the answer choice is C in that example. They had an A, B, C, or D. All right? Now, if I wanted to go ahead and graph this, they're not teaching this yet, but I'm going ahead and teaching you. There's 37. There's your negative 37. Now, if it's on a graph, you have to do what the graph says. But I'm saying if you got to make the graph, do it this way. It's greater than over 37, that's an open dot, points to the right, and there, you got a graph too. Okay? We solved it, put it in set notation, and we graphed it. Alright, so let's try another one. This is guided 2. And so we're going to get p plus 8 is less than or equal to 18. Subtract 8 on both sides. P is less than or equal to 10. Put that in set notation. It looks like that. Subtract 8 on both sides. We get 10. P is less than or equal to 10. It's already on the left. I don't need to change direction. Same direction. Set notation. Graph it. 10, negative 10, and this is a closed dot since it's less than or equal to. So the graph will point to the left. see if I see one where the variable's on the right. I don't see one yet. But let's go ahead and look at example 3 where the variable's on both sides. So I'm going to erase this. So example 3, we're going to call this variable on each side. And this is on page 287 now. So I have solved 3a plus 6 is less than or equal to 4a. 3a plus 6 is less than or equal to 4a, like that. Our goal is to get that letter to the left, but if we do that, we're going to get a 0, so we're going to have to move it temporarily to the right. So the opposite of a positive 3a is a negative 3a. So the 6 is less than or equal to 4 minus 3 is 1. You can just put a. Okay? Now that the variable's on the right, let's move it back to the left for inequalities. So where 6 is less than or equal to a is greater than or equal to 6. And put this in set notation, like that, and we can graph it. 0, 6, negative 6, greater than or equal to is a closed dot over the 6. So closed dot, and it's pointing to the right. So you had a couple more things to think about this time. We had to switch the directions and move the letter to the left, and set notation and graph. Okay, let's try a guided practice. Let's try one more. Let's do let's do 3b this time. Let's do guided 3b. 3b, you might not have to move around. Let's look at it. We have 5h is less than or equal to 12 plus 4h. 5h is less than or equal to 12 plus 4h. Well, I can move the variable in this direction to the left, which is my goal anyway. It just makes more sense to move it to the left instead of moving it to the right and having a 0. So that gives me 1h, which is just h, is less than or equal to 12. I'm done. Put it in set notation, h slash h, like that, and graph it. The letter's already on the left, so I don't need to change directions. 0, 12, negative 12, closed dot, and it points to the left. That's it for that problem. The last example is a word problem, and it is a calculator problem. So I'm going to change this. So now we have example 4, real world problem. And it says here, Felipe needs for the temperature of his leopard gecko's basking spot to be at least 82 degrees. Currently, it's 62.5. How much warmer does it need to be? Okay. His current temperature is 62.5. T for temperature. I'll change that to an X though. And it says it has to be at least greater than or equal to 80. Okay. So at least will mean greater than or equal to. At most means less than or equal to. So make sure you jot those two notes down, okay? And try not to get those symbols mixed up. If you're at least 10 years old, that means you're greater than or equal to 10. If you're at most 100 years old, you're less than or equal to 100. That would be me. Okay, I don't like to use that T like they did in the book, so I'm going to change that to an X so we don't get confused with the plus symbol. So to fix this, I'm going to move the 62.5 to the right. Then I'm going to use my calculator. You can do this by hand if you want to, you just got to put a point zero there. 82 minus 62.5, and I get 19.5 degrees. So in order for a gecko to feel comfortable, it's got to be at least 19.5 degrees warmer. And let's put that in set notation. All right, and graph it. And greater than or equal to is a closed dot on the 19.5 degrees, and it points to the right. Okay? So that's it for that video.